안녕.
My Hero Academia is one of my favorite animes. It's in my top 5 at the moment, but apparently that's controversial, which is news to me. And I do have a feeling that it has more to do with the fandom rather than the actual series, but the reputation of the MHA fandom is a whole other conversation. Anyways, there isn't really a prevalent conversation on whether MHA is going downhill, at least not that I'm aware of. I was more so curious about this topic because I had seen some people online and some friends of mine saying that they dropped the series after season 3/4. And since the anime is my favorite, I was rather perplexed to hear this because I've been religiously following this series since season 1 finished airing, so I can't relate. So, to answer this question, I started by looking at the stats of the manga sales. I made my own sales chart, mainly as an excuse to get better at using Excel, if I'm being honest. But anyways, there are 38 tankobon volumes at the time of making this, and volume 39 is in tankobon format yet. As I was researching, I could only find the sales starts up until volume 35, which is good enough for me. I only did week 1 and current total sales because all that week 2, week 3, week 4, that doesn't matter to me. So it makes sense for the current sales to be going in more of a downward slope because obviously the volumes that have been out for longer will have way more sales than the ones that just came out like 3 months ago. So let's just focus on the week 1 sales. Naturally, it has its ups and downs, but overall it's been pretty steady, unlike my mental health, and staying well within 240k each week, which is a lot. On top of that, in the first half of 2023, My Hero Academia came in 6th place for the top selling manga by volume in Japan, which is volume 37, selling over 720,000 copies. Take a moment and actually deep how big that number is. Imagine this number in your bank account right now in American dollars. Do you know what I could do with that? I could buy another human being with that money. I'm just kidding. And the manga has over 85 million copies circulating. Imagine that number in your bank account. You could actually buy a person this time with that money. I could buy the entire franchise with that money. There are people that actually do have these numbers in their bank account in American dollars. Wow, some people are really just living life in easy mode. Huh. So, anyways, in terms of sales, it's most certainly not falling off. At least not in the way Boruto is. My Hero Academia was animated by Bone Studio, which is a really popular studio in Japan. I feel like most people have heard about it. They are also known for having animated Mob Psycho 100, Full Metal Alchemist, including Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Bungo Stray Dog, Noragami, and many, many more. When it comes to anime, it's very common for a series to get 1 or 2 seasons, Yuri on Ice, before getting dropped. Most of the times with untied or open endings, other times with a complete story because it just worked out nicely. And other times they don't drop it, but they just go off and do their own thing. I think that's what happened with Black Butler, which I actually had no idea about when I was watching the series. Apparently, Alois and his little butler, they're not canon in the manga. They don't exist. That's just an anime thing. I was so sad when I found that out because I was obsessed with that little brat in his thigh-high boots. But My Hero Academia is one of the handful of series that is continually getting a new season that sticks to the manga quite closely. Of course, there are differences here and there, but at least they aren't completely butchering and changing the whole story. At least what I've been told. I don't read the manga. The series has 6 seasons so far, with Wow, that was embarrassing. The series has 6 seasons so far, with season 7 apparently already being confirmed. It has 3 banging movies. The second one is my favorite, by the way. Plus, the animation only seems to be getting better and better, especially when it comes to the fight scenes. Clearly, all the budget is going there. Overall, in the sales and money making aspect, it's definitely not falling off. And if it was, they would have long since dropped the series because they wouldn't be making enough money for it. Like I mentioned earlier, MHA is one of my faves, so I was kind of surprised when I heard people saying that they dropped it and were calling it overrated, which, like, they call everything overrated. I mean, there are people that are calling Demon Slayer overrated. I mean, that's an opinion. You can have one. Don't know why, but okay. I noticed that people claim to have dropped the show around season 3/4, so I stepped outside of my little Twitter circle for a moment and took this chance to look at some negative reviews for those 2 seasons. I noticed a theme of people saying that it got repetitive and boring and that there was no real danger or suspense anymore, but if you watch season 6, you know for a fact that that shit got serious. So I couldn't really find many negative reviews for season 6 saying that it got repetitive. Instead, any sort of negative review was more of a mixed feeling review, and there was a swarm of positive ones. So in the end, the timeline does kind of add up because people were dropping it around season 3 and 4 when they were saying that it got repetitive and they kind of stopped caring about it. But then the ones that stuck through to season 6 hopefully saw an improvement. On a side note, I noticed a few people saying that the animation was getting worse, which is crazy to me because how is this worse animation? Like, okay, your royal highness, clearly your taste and standards far exceeds us classless peasants. Sorry, I'm particularly sensitive when it comes to the topic of animation because when people were saying that the new AOT animation under MAPPA was bad, I was literally pulling my hair out. Anyways, moving on. I'm someone that sat through every episode of Fairy Tail, and that right there is some repetitive shit. So MHA for me was calm. And season 6 was when shit hit the fan. Niggas started dying and losing limbs. And the toy reveal scene, peak cinema. This one scene where Shoto was having a mental breakdown and his dad was just standing there. See, me personally, I love when characters cry, so it tickled all the correct places for me. Okay, weirdo. There is a bit of conversation around the MHA female characters, which I totally agree with, because they could have been written so much better, because there is no reason for Uraraka to just be a love interest, Hagakure to be ass naked, Yamamomo to have her tits out, and for us to know next to nothing about Nejire, whom, mind you, is also part of the big 3. Meanwhile, her male counterparts have their own childhood friends to lovers subplot going on. Make it make sense. It doesn't, exactly. So for me, that's one of the biggest issues with the series as a whole. The other characters who do get attention are well written and compelling. Now, I freaking love Endeavor. Wait. I'm not excusing his actions. Me liking him doesn't mean that I think he did nothing wrong. He was a terrible father. He did terrible abusive things. And I still love him. He's such a compelling character because he's a hero. And heroes are meant to be these perfect, pure entities. But Endeavor is so far from that. He was greedy and cruel, and now he's truly trying to make up for his horrible mistakes. So if the Todoroki family were to forgive him, that's on them. That's their decision. If Shoto decides to hate Endeavor forever, Shoto is still going to be my favorite character, and I will still love Angie and his character. On top of that, he's kind of,
Cut the cameras. Deadass.
I like Endeavor far more entertaining to watch, and I find the story a lot more interesting to follow than I do with All Might, because All Might gives me like Superman vibes with this. He's kind of like this perfect, pure, completely good-hearted character, which like is great, whatever, but like boring, kind of, no offense. The villains are also really well written and have in-depth stories with their own unique and interesting motives. So to me, the story isn't going downhill either. The pace is just right, not too slow, and not constantly overwhelming me with fights and world-ending threats and tragedies that happen. What the did I just say? Tragedy? No, I need to fix this. Tragedy. Listen, in my defense, English isn't my first language. Is it the language I speak the most? Yes. But is it my first? No. You're watching a trilingual person struggle. Cut me some slack. Anyways, where was I? Okay, yeah. So the pacing is like perfect for me. Is my Goldilocks just right. I love the cooldown periods in the series where we can see the students do student things. Like the joint training arc with Class B was so fun. And honestly, I wouldn't mind a whole season of them just interacting with other classes and doing like their hero core stuff, because I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure fighting S-class criminals was not in the first year curriculum. Yeah, it's not falling off. Simple as that. Point blank period. The sales stats alone prove it. I just think that it's not as popular as it was back in the 2020 era because it was lockdown and a lot more people were starting to watch anime since they were like all stuck at home and stuff. Also, due to the MHA's fandom, I want to say reputation, a lot of people want to distance themselves from that so they can trash talk the series and call it mid. And personally, I think if you haven't watched MHA yet, or if you dropped it at some point, I highly recommend you pick it back up. It's cute and fun, and it's really dramatic. And if you follow all the right people and block all the ones that you don't like, the fandom is actually a wonderful place. Trust me, I have over 500 people blocked on Twitter, and I am having a blast. Also, this doesn't just go for the MHA fandom. This goes for like everything. For any anime fandom you're in, any K-pop fandom you're in, any fandom you're in, just block people. It's so easy. Matter of fact, here's a tutorial. Oh my god, shameless plug time. You should totally check out my Instagram. Wow, so cool. You go to the person's account, you click the three dots in the corner, boom, block. Done. Easy, simple, peace of mind now. I'll never have to worry about that person ever again. Just like that. Can you imagine how easy it is to give yourself peace? If there's one thing I care the most about my life, is having peace. I will never let anyone disturb my peace, especially not a stranger on the Okay, I'm getting off topic. This video is done now. This is it. It's over. It's finished. Sorry you had to sit through all that bullshit. It's midnight. I'm fairly sleep deprived. Thanks for watching up until this point. Please like and comment and subscribe. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna leave now. Bye.